Hi guys, as it's Halloween today, happy Halloween by the way to everybody watching, I thought I would give myself permission to go a little bit woo-woo and talk about some of the more abstract and supernatural parts of training and the path. So the thing I want to talk about today is supernatural skills, or more commonly known as Siddhis, that may arise on the path, whether it's the Kung Fu training path or spiritual path that you're on. I first came across the idea of supernatural skills and Siddhis when I was 4 years old. We just fled Kurdistan in northern Iraq, and we'd settled in Iran as political refugees. And my father at the time had started learning hypnosis and some yoga. And I remember him coming back and talking to my mum, and I would listen about how when somebody gets really good at these yogic practices, that they start to develop certain skills. Like, I remember him saying stuff like they can make themselves infinitesimally small, or make themselves really, really large, or go through walls, and just have psychic powers and stuff like this. And I remember as a four-year-old just being fascinated by this, and wanting to get supernatural powers. Then later on, obviously, for those of us that do Kung Fu, which will be most people who watch my channel, we see Kung Fu movies, the old Hong Kong classics movies, where you've got all of these amazing flying around, light body method and chi strikes and this and that. And that just furthered my fascination with these things. But usually as we get older and as we face the reality of existence, we lose this idealistic view of things and go, okay, well, these are just fiction, fantasy, these are not real. The traditions I've been a part of, a few different traditions I've been a part of, supernatural skills and powers are all a thing within these traditions. And in this video, what I want to do is I want to try and logically explain how they arise and what they are. So most of the traditions that I'm a part of are rooted in non-dual view of everything. So there is an absolute source, and we are all manifestations of this source. And as human beings, we are, disconnected from the reality of what we are. So we are confined to the prison of the three-dimensional world, or the four-dimensional world, or whatever. We are limited by physics as we understand it. But this seeming separation from us and the source of all things is but a veil, upon our eyes. So it's not like a real separation. It's not there's not a huge distance between us and our true nature. There is but a lifting of the veil so that we can see. And the path that one walks, whether it's through traditional martial arts training, or whether it's through other forms of spiritual practice, is but the gradual removal of this veil. And as we gradually remove this veil, as we gain more and more insight into our own true nature, these supernatural skills, these siddhis, may arise. Why? Not because me, the individual, is gaining these skills, but because the veil of the individual is starting to dissolve or disappear, so the true source of all power is able to manifest within the individual. So when these skills arise in the mystic recognizes that it is not their skill, it is not their power, it is power from the source. It is power from the absolute. Now also, I often like to say, when these powers arise, they are but distractions. They're not the aim, they're not anything great. They are just signposts that show us that we are walking the path and the veil is lifting. So our traditional stories, our classical stories, always show the reluctance of the mystic to openly portray their powers, openly portray their miracles. They always try to hide it unless for some reason it becomes revealed. This is, in all of our stories, things like this happen. And the person that does openly and readily use their powers is often known as a sorcerer or somebody who uses their powers for evil. So there's a lesson in this. The mystic that has attained certain skills and powers recognizes that they themselves and the external object that they are manipulating with their powers, or the thing they are manifesting with their powers, are both manifestations of the absolute. So the thing itself isn't real as a thing on its own, and they themselves are not real as a thing on its own. So the miracles or the powers that they are showing to the world is a form of a dishonesty, because to the world it shows a level of lordship or mastery from the mystic and subservience from the thing being manipulated, when the mystic themselves know this is dishonest, because they are all part of the absolute. And one thing a true mystic cannot tolerate is dishonesty in others and in themselves. So this is one reason why our stories and our traditions tell us of the reluctance of the righteous mystic to openly show and portray their powers. Another reason is the mystic understands that all things are ordained as they need to be. All things are within the gift of the absolute. So any act of trying to change or affect anything is an act of futility, because all things are, as I said, preordained. Now, a big danger on the path is when practitioners start to taste these early skills and early powers and believe that it is them, it is because of their greatness, it is because of their achievement, they are able to manifest these skills. This leads the practitioner in the wrong direction. It leads them back to empowering their ego, empowering their sense of individual self, which leads to a form of spiritual corruption and a thickening of the veil across the eyes to recognize the true nature of all things.